Okay, so this is the first homework paper that I've set for you, and to give you some idea as to how you need to perform here, the grade boundaries that we use on a foundation tier paper go like this. So in order to get a grade G, you need to score 20 marks on a paper. Anything up to 30 will give you that G. Once you trigger 30, then you could get an F until you reach 45, then you're in the E zone. Up to 55, where you are going to get a D, and then once you break that magic 70 mark, everything from there is C. So that's going to give us an idea about what you need to be getting right, and also the level of difficulty of those questions. So you can see that pretty much question 1 up to question 6 should be pretty straightforward, low level questions, and then once you get beyond 15, then those are the sort of questions that you also get on the higher tier paper. So there's an overlap. Okay, so let's get stuck into this. Zoom in a little bit. So there we go. So the first question then, Janet buys some items for her office, complete her bill. Now what you will see here is that some of these items are in pounds as a unit and others are in pence in a unit. And what you need to make sure is that you're consistently using the same units. So it's calculator paper, so we can use our calculator. Great light on that, isn't it? There you go. So 6 box files costing £2.80 each. On your calculator you would do 6 times £2.80, and that gives you that. With these calculators it always turns it into a fraction, and you need to turn that like that. And on calculators it doesn't give you any additional zeros, so 16.8 you need to write as £16.80. 4 packets of paper at £6.57, 26.28, and here you've got to do 12 times, and instead of 86 you've got to write 86 pence in pounds, which would be 12 times 0.86. So that's in pounds, which means your answer is going to be in pounds 1032. And we're going to add those together, and must remember to include the one that has been worked out for you. Oops. So you'll see there that comes to exactly £139. Now there are 4 marks for that, and the way that those 4 marks would be worked out, you would have a mark for working out the 2 in pounds, you would get 1 mark and an answer mark for working out the £10.32 in the right units, and you would get 1 mark for the final total. Janet receives a discount of 5%. How much is the discount on this bill? Okay, so you need to work out what that 5% is, and then that will be the discount. If the question said how much she then pays, you would have to subtract that. Now the easiest way of thinking of 5% would be to write 5% as if you were writing 5 pence in pounds. And you'd write 5 pence in pounds, 0.05. Multiply that by the total amount, which is still on my calculator, so I've just got to do 139 times 0.05. So the discount is £6.95. And as I've been saying to you in class, even though you're using a calculator, write down the maths that you're going to do, because there is a method mark for turning that or dealing correctly with the percentage and an answer mark. If you just write down your answer and you'd have put that in incorrectly, then you will get no marks. A group of 5 pupils go to see a play. The tickets cost £6.75 each. They pay for the tickets with a £50 note. How much change should they receive? So first of all, you're going to work out the total cost of the tickets. So write that down. And that'll be 5 lots of £6.75. Work it out. £33.75. And then the change they receive would be 50 less that. So change equals 50 less £33.75, which equals £16.25. So again, there are 3 marks for that. You would have a method mark for working out the total cost of the tickets, a method mark for doing the subtraction, and a final answer mark. So if you just write down your answer and get it wrong, you're going to get nothing. If you make a mistake, you could still potentially get 2 out of 3 by showing your method. C. What percentage of this pattern is shaded? Well, they're all equal size shapes, so we need to find out how many little bits are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So each of those is 10%, and 4 of them are shaded, which would be 40%, and not shaded would then be 60%. There's no method for that. You would get 1 mark, which would be called a B mark for the 40, and another one for the 60. Question 2. A box is placed on the scale. Sand is poured into the box. Find how much the sand weighs. So the common mistake here would be to just read off the weight on this scale, but what you'd be missing out on is the fact that the box has weight as well. So the weight of the empty box, you read off this one. And if we just take a look at the scale is going from 0 to 100 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal jumps. So 5 goes into 100 20 times. So each of these little tick marks is 20 grams. So what we have here is 200 and 300, and it's 20 grams less than 300. So the box is going to weigh 280 grams. Then the full box, or box plus sand, so that you can see now quickly is 920. So the sand will be the difference between the combined weight and the empty weight. So we're going to do 920 take 280, 640 grams. And with that question, you would have 1 mark for reading the scales, and then 1 mark for subtracting, and 1 mark for the answer. Question 3. Okay, when you're estimating areas of shapes, sometimes the shape is on a centimetre square grid and it's just a matter of counting squares. You have to read the question carefully, because as you can see with this one, each square doesn't represent 1 centimetre squared, it represents 5. So the first thing we have to do is decide how many squares that covers, and then multiply it by 5 to get the total area. And the general rule to remember is if a part of the square, more than half a square is covered, then we count it. If less than half a square is covered, we don't count it, and it's just an estimate, so the examiner would have a range of acceptable marks. So I'm going to count that one: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59 squares, and I've got to multiply that by 5. So my estimate is 295 centimeters squared. If that had said that each square represents an area of 7 square centimeters, I'd have multiplied the 59 by 7. As I said, there is a range, so if you'd have decided to include one more than me or a couple less, then that would still be acceptable. So here you've got 1 mark for the method of counting squares, 1 mark for getting that reasonably accurate, 1 mark then for multiplying by 5, and 1 mark for getting your answer within a range. The next bit are knowledge questions. You need to know these. That name there is called the diameter, a line that goes straight across the widest part of a circle, so it's going through the center, is called diameter. And this shape where you've got a line that just touches the outside of the circle, that's called a tangent. So you've got 1 mark for that, 1 mark for that. This is question 4 now, so we're now into the grade G questions. Okay, if we've got this far and got everything right, you're on for a grade G at least. This is a 5-sided shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's a pentagon. This is a cylinder, and this is a triangular prism. And again, 1 mark for each of those. Measure in centimeters the length of the line PQ. So you need to have a ruler, of course, and you need to line your ruler up with one side, with one end with a 0, and you read accurately off the other, and you can see that this one is 7.5 centimeters. Draw a line perpendicular. Perpendicular, you need to know, means at right angles to. If it was parallel, then it would mean it would be the same direction, so you would have to make sure that that was going in the same direction. For at right angles to, the easiest thing to do is to use the mark lines for the inches or whatever, because they are at right angles to this edge. So I'm going to line up that 8-inch line on my PQ line, and I'm going to slide it across until it goes through R, and I know then my ruler is at right angles to the line, and I put a little box in there to show the examiner I know what I'm doing. Okay, it doesn't have to touch the line, it can go through the line, so long as it passes through that point R. So there's 2 marks for that, 1 for the measuring and 1 for the perpendicular. Right, next question is a formula question. Formulas in words. A list of numbers is made by using the formula value of number equals 5 times the position of a number plus 6. Find the value of the number when the position number is 9. So the value will be where we have position of the number, we're going to replace that with the number 9 plus 6. And whenever you're working out operations like this, you do the multiplication first. So 5 times 9 is 45, plus 6 equals 51. So you'd have one method mark there for plugging into the formula and one for getting the correct answer. In the second part, find the position of the number when the value of the number is 121. So we have to form an equation now. If we put this information into that formula, the value of the number is 121 is equal to 5 times the position of the number, I'll just call that P, so me writing all that, add 6. So we have to do the opposite in order to get at P. We could turn it into a number machine actually, if you like, but hopefully you should be able to work with equations like this. In order to get the P on its own, the first thing we have to get rid of is the plus 6. In order to get rid of a plus 6, I've got to take 6 off. If I take 6 off this side, I have to take 6 off this side too. So I get 121 take away 6 equals 5 times P. 6 is gone from there because I've taken it away. 121 take away 6 is 115. Then to get the P on its own, I've got to undo, do the opposite of 5 times in by 5, which would be dividing by 5. If I divide that side by 5, I have to divide this side by 5 as well. Now in algebra, we write divide by as over. So we have 115 over 5 equals P. Then we can do the maths. So we've got 115 divided by 5 equals 23. So the position is 23. If you wanted to do that as a number machine, the way you would turn that formula into a number machine is what's going in is the position number. The first thing that's happening to it is it's being multiplied by 5. The next thing that's happening to it is 6 is being added, and what comes out then is the value. Now if you're going backwards through a number line, a number machine, which is what we're doing in part B, you have to change these to their opposites. So the first thing you would do is subtract 6, the next thing you would do is divide 5 to give you P, which is what we've done in the stages up there. So the maths for this is, first of all, you get a method for correctly writing that out with all the information in, and you get a method, an answer mark for getting the correct answer of 23. Question 6. This is another estimate question. The picture shows a bendy bus with a man standing beside it. Showing all your working, estimate the actual length of the bendy bus. So what you need to do here is use your knowledge, your general knowledge about how high a man is. Now it doesn't state whether you need to work in feet or meters, but it's easier if you tend to work in meters. A normal man would be about 1.8 meters. So you would say height of man is about 1.8 meters. And then what you need to do is work out how many of those men would lie toe to toe across the bus, because we're working out the length. So if I get my ruler and the man is a centimeter tall, then the bus is roughly 8 centimeters. So length of bus equals 8 men, and I know that each man is 1.8, so I'm going to do 8 lots of 1.8, which is 8 times 1.8 equals 72 over 5, 14.4 meters. Okay. Now, if you'd have estimated the height of the man to be 1.7, or if you'd have estimated the height of the man to be 2 meters or 6 foot, that's fine, so long as you've written down what it is, then worked out how many of those men fit along there, and then do the maths, then you earn the marks. So you're going to have a mark for your estimate, a mark for how many times that fits in the bus, a method mark for the multiplication, and a final answer mark. So that's question 6. Question 7 now takes us into the the F grade questions. So from here we are working at an F grade. So on the squared paper below, plot and label the points at those points. So the knowledge you need to know here is that when we're working with coordinates, the first digit is the X coordinate, so that's how we move horizontally, and then the second digit is the Y coordinate, which is what we move vertically. So the point A, minus 3, 5, means we're going across to minus 3 and up to 5. And make a clear cross at that point and write A next to it. Don't just write a big fat A over that point. B is 5 minus 2, so we're going across 5 in the positive direction and then down 2. So again, a cross which clearly marks where we're talking about, and the letter next to it. And then finally C is negative 4, negative 5, so we're across 4, down 5 to there, and putting the C clearly there. So 3 obvious marks for that, 1 for each. Question 8. Bryn hires a floor sander. It costs £37 for the first day and £18.50 for each additional day. Bryn's total cost for hiring the sander was £129.50. For how many days did he hire the sander? Well, there's lots of different ways of doing this, but if you think that the first day is fixed, it's 137, so if we take the first day off that, that will be the total cost for the additional days. So total cost for additional days will be 129.50 less 37 quid. Put my calculator back on the screen. £129.50 less 37, £92.50. So what we're working with now is that we know that each additional day costs £18.50, and the total cost for the additional days was that. So if we see how many times £18.50 goes into that, that will give us the number of additional days. So number of additional days will be £92.50 divided by £18.50. How many times does £18.50 go into that? I've still got the £92.50 on my screen, so I've just got to do divide 18.50 5. So there are 5 additional days. The question's asking for how many days did he hire the sander. Well, it was 5 additional plus the £37 first of all, so 6 days higher. Okay, so the maths for that, you have 1 mark for correctly finding out how many additional days, 1 mark for the division, and 1 mark for your final answer. So that's question 8. Question 9, algebra in context. Lots of examples of these on my website. Jeff is T centimeters tall. Jill is 6 centimeters taller than Jeff. Write down in terms of t Jill's height. So what you've got to work out here is what sum you would do to work out Jill's height. And if you don't like working with letters, work with numbers first of all. If Jeff was 100 centimeters tall, how tall would Jill be? 6 centimeters taller would be 106. So what maths have you done to go from Jeff to Jill? You've added 6. So rather than writing 100 add 6, because it's a letter, you would write t plus 6. Concrete blocks each weigh W kilograms. Write down in terms of W the weight of 10 blocks. Well, change W to a number, say 5 kilograms. Concrete blocks each weigh 5 kilograms. How heavy would 10 blocks be? 50 kilograms. What have you done? You've multiplied 5 by 10. So here we're not going to multiply 5 by 10, we're going to multiply W by 10. So we could write that as W times 10. In algebra we would tend to write that as 10W. Okay, but W times 10 is absolutely fine. Mary is X years old. Write down in terms of X her age 5 years ago. Well, if Mary was 15 years old, 5 years ago she would have been 10. What maths did you do? You subtracted 5. So it's going to be X subtract 5. Part B, use the formula V equals U plus 10t to find the value of V when U is 20 and T is 9. So let's put that information into the formula. V equals, instead of writing U, I'm going to write 20. And what is important to remember here in algebra, as I mentioned up there, we don't tend in algebra to put the multiply in, but it is there. So that 10 and that t are joined by a multiply. So it isn't going to be 10 and then you just write the 9 next to it to be 109. It's 10 times the value of t, which is 9. As I mentioned in a previous question, when you've got a mixed line like that, we always do the multiplying before the addition. So 10 times 9 is 90. So we have 20 plus 90, which is 110. 3 marks for this, 1 for each. It's either right or it's wrong. And for this one, you're going to get a method mark by correctly working out the 90 first and then doing your addition from there. So we're now on question 10, which takes us into the grade E questions. Howell and Janet go on a holiday to the USA. They change £1,300 into dollars when the exchange rate was £1 equal to $1.55. How many dollars did they get? So again, with questions like this, you're either going to be multiplying or dividing, okay? And what you're doing is you're taking pounds and turning them into dollars. So if you think of it as a number machine, you put in pounds in, you're scaling that by 155, and out comes dollars. So going in this direction, pounds in times 155 give you dollars. So we're putting £1,300 in, we're multiplying it by 155, and we're getting $2,015 out. On the return, they have left £363 left over. They put this back into pounds. The exchange rate has changed, but they're going backwards from dollars to pounds. So if the exchange rate was the same, if you go backwards through a number line, number machine, you do the opposite. So you'd be doing the opposite to multiplying by 155, which would be dividing by 155, but we're dividing by 165. So what we're going to be doing is 363 divided by 165. 363 divided by, so they're going to get £220 back. There are lots of exchange rate questions that I go through on the website as well in the topic based area. Question 11. The ages in years of 8 members of a team are as follows. Oh, sorry, I haven't done the marks for this. So you'd have a method mark and an answer mark. A method mark for doing the multiplication, an answer for getting it right. A method for doing the division, an answer for getting it right. Okay, sorry. So the ages in years of the 8 members of a team are as follows. Find the median of the ages of the members of the team. So knowledge, you need to know what we're talking about if we're talking about mean, mode and median. The median is the middle, but it's the middle of an ordered list. That list hasn't been put in order, so our first job is to put that in order of size. And the easiest way to do that is just to rewrite it. So the smallest there is 21. Put a little mark so you know that you've used it. Followed by 23. Followed by 24. Followed by 27. Followed by 33. 34. 41. And 45. So you're going to earn yourself a mark by doing that and then finding the middle. Now with this there are 8 members, so there is no middle, in which case what you have to do is work out what's halfway between the middle pair. Halfway between the middle pair is 30. Okay, if you can't see that just by looking, then what you do is you add them together and half it. If you add those together you get 60, half it you get 30. So the median of that list of numbers is 30. Find the range of the ages of the members of the team. The range is the largest, take away the smallest, and again that's easier from our ordered list. So the range is 45 take away 21. And what's important is you don't leave it like that. A really common mistake with range is to leave it as it's 45 to 21 or it's 21 to 45. You have to actually work out what that difference is. So 45 less 21, range is 24. We then have to find the mean. In order to find the mean, you have to work out what the total is and then divide by however many members there are. So the total is, I'm not going to write down the sum, but work it out. So we'll do 21 plus 23 plus 24 plus 27 plus 33 plus 34 plus 41 plus 45. So the total age of those is 248. So the mean would be 248 divided by 8, because there are 8 members in the team. Oops, sorry, divided by 6 then. So the average age, the mean age, is 31 years. One evening, a member of the team did not turn up. The mean age of those that were present was 29. What was the age of the member who did not turn up? Okay, so this is quite a challenging question now. If one member did not turn up, then we know we haven't got 8 members anymore, we've got 7. If we want to work out what the total age of those 7 players are, then we're going to multiply the mean, 29, by 7. Okay, in the same way, if I wanted to work out when the mean was 31, what the total age would be, I would do 31 times 8 and it would give me the total. So now I'm going to do the total age will be 29 the mean age, times 7, because there's one fewer in the group. So 29 times 7 is 203. So we know that when they were all there, the total age was 248. When one is missing, the total age is 203. So the age of the member who didn't turn up, age not turned up, will be the 248, total age of the 8 of them, minus 203, total age of the 7 of them. So 248 less 203, 45. So it was the 45-year-old that didn't turn up. Okay, so the marks for that one would be 1 mark for the method of ordering and finding the middle, and 1 for the correct answer. The range, you would only get it for 24. You wouldn't get that mark if you just wrote down 4521. For the mean, you get a mark for the method of finding the total and divided by 8, and 1 mark for correctly getting 31 years. And then there's 3 marks for this. The first mark for finding the new total age, and then the method of working out the difference between the 2 total ages and the correct answer. Question 12 takes us now into the D grade questions. Okay, so from here on we're in D land. Simplifying algebra. What you do with simplifying algebra, and again there's lots of these questions on the website with me working through them. You look at what terms you've got. You've got x terms, you've got a 4x there, and you've got a 6x there, and you've got number on their own terms. You've got a +3 there, and you've got a -7 there. The signs in front of each term are connected to them. So that plus is part of that 3. That plus is part of the 6x. That minus, that negative sign, is part of the 7. The first leading term, if there's no sign there, it's positive. So that's plus 4x. And what I suggest you do is you circle the relevant bits. So in green there, I got the 4x, which is plus, and I got the plus 6x there. And then in my red, I've got my +3 and my -7. So deal with the green. I got 4x and I'm adding 6x to it. So you're working on a number line. You're at 4x and you're adding 6x is going to take you to 10x. Then on another number line, we're starting at +3 and we're subtracting 7. We're going down 7. So +3 down 7 takes you down to -4. 2 marks there, 1 for each part. Complete the following table giving values of 5x plus 1 for values of x between -1 and 2. Okay, your calculator is great for this because your calculator, you can write your equation in exactly the same way you see it there. If you take as a trigger that x there means you have to use brackets, then you're going to get this right. And what I suggest you do is you take a pair that you know the answer is there for. So I'm going to take this one so I can show you what buttons to press on your calculator. So when x is -1, y will be 5, and instead of x, bracket -1 plus 1. And that's how you would write it on your calculator. 5. Lost some light there, haven't I? Open bracket. Now -1 is not subtract, it is this button here. So that would be -1 close bracket trying to get the best light here. There you go, 5 bracket, let me do that again. So you're going to have 5 open bracket, -1 means you're pressing that 1, close bracket, add 1. So you've typed it on your calculator exactly as you've written there, and what we want to make sure is our calculator gives us the answer -4. It does, so I know that I'm writing it on my calculator correctly. So for x is 1, I'm going to write y equals 5 bracket 1 plus 1. 5 bracket 1 plus 1 equals 6. So that's completed my table, and then I have to draw the graph of this. So these are my coordinate pairs. X is -1, y is -4, x is -1, y is -4. I'm going to put a cross there. X is 0, y is 1. X is 0. Now what you have to work out on this scale is where on earth 1 is. So we're going from 0 to 4 in 10 equal jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10. So each little square is going to be 4 divided by 10, which is 0.4. So each little square is 0.4. So that's going to be 0.4, 0.8, 1.2. It's going to be halfway between there. So that's not very nice, but that's where it is. Then I'm going from 1 to 6. Well, 1 to 6, you can see 4, 6, 8 is going to be there, and 2 to 11 is going to go 2, 8, 10, 12, halfway between 10 and 12 is going to be there. And then you have to draw the line that goes through those points. So with that, you're going to get 1 mark for working out the missing coordinate, 1 mark for plotting the points, and 1 mark for drawing the line. We're now on question 13, which is still in the D zone. So the sum of 7 single-digit numbers is 17. 6 of the numbers are equal. What is the other number? So if we were to think of if 6 of the numbers were equal, if they were 5, if each of the numbers was 5, 5 sixes is 30, it's too big. If the number was 3, 3 sixes are 18, it's too big. If the number was 2, you'd have 12, so it's just a trial and improvement idea I'm working with here. So if the number was 2, you'd have 6 lots of 2 is 12, and then the other number would be 5 to get 17. So the other number is 5. Okay, so what you're doing there is working out, right, okay, well I'm going to do this by trial and improvement or trial and error. Pick a number. I said 5. 6 lots of 5 is 30. I'm only 17, it's too big. So I dropped it to 3. 6 lots of 3 is 18, it's too big. I tried 2. 6 lots of 2 is 12, which is okay. And then I can add 5 to it, which is a single digit number as well. So you're going to have 1 for your method of picking the 6, working out whether the number is 2 or 3 or 4, and then 1 number for working out the difference, and 1 number for your answer. And we're now on question 14, which takes us into the C grades. And I'll stop the recording here and pick it up as a second part of the recording.